Hey, what's up guys, T-Show here, come video today. Wow, so I haven't been on Dueling Network for a hell of a long time, and this is basically because I don't really like using it, but I do like using it to watch duels. And here's the thing, this guy, Masik333, he's been playing frogs, and the deck is absolutely amazing. I think if you've been watching, I can't remember his name, but he makes videos on YouTube. I don't know why his name just escaped me, but he did a video of this guy playing the other day, and he was playing frogs, and he managed to win. And I've been watching the last 3 or 4 games, like matches, with this guy, just kind of stalking him, watching him, because a lot of people just stalk him and watch him play. He is amazing. The deck is really good. I think he's polished the main deck to basically cater to the meta. Really solid. It's like once he goes off, it's pretty much nothing that can stop him, because he can play through back row really easily. He can just keep following up with extra plays and so on like that. So really interesting, very cool. So I want to commentate over what he's doing. And first off, he dualities and reveals a swap frog, breakthrough skill, and a des frog. And he will go and get swap frog because it catalyzes everything else in his deck. So he goes and puts Desfrog back in. You want to have a Desfrog in your hand, but generally the aim of the deck is to use Swap Frog to send any frog to the graveyard, generally Tadpole, and then you tribute summon Desfrog, and then you activate its effect to special summon another Desfrog from your deck. And then you use them to make Volcasaurus pop your opponent's monster, deal some damage, make guy charge your attack. So you generally do a lot of damage, but it's not just the only play it can do. You can combine level 2s together to make the new Ghost Trick So Cute boss, but I'll call it Succubus because Succubus is the OCG version of it. Succubus is really good because if you have 2 of them on the field, which you will have at some point, you can stop your opponent from attacking Ghost Tricks. If you have 2 of them, you create a pseudo softlock, like, you know, Tomb Warding Captains. I think there's a Watt card that lets you stop attacking and stuff like that. So that kind of thing. So if you can use So Cute Boss, you can stack 2 of them together at once, and then you can pop your opponent's stuff, and then you can sit behind them. So it's a really good advantage. So he's playing Geargias, and he's obviously both players are trying to amass some kind of hand advantage at the moment. Geargias is a tough one for this deck because they generally have it on their turn. They have everything set. So for the frog guy, he wants to have the opponent's stuff face up, just sit in there face up, so that he can go and pop it with Volcasaurus, or he can pop it with Succubus. So in this particular instance, he's going to have to bait through back row. He's going to have to kind of find some way to pop a lot of stuff. So at the moment, he's waiting on the trap stun, clearly. So Trap stun gets MST'd in the end phase. I think he was obviously worried, but he wants to clear up a back row. So Geargia keeps flip-flopping, getting himself some more accelerators and arsenal. Ronin Toadin is a really good defense, but generally you combine Ronin Toadin and Dupe Frog because they both could be treated as Des Frog while they're on the field. You activate Inferno Reckless Summon, and then you special summon a whole bunch of Des Frogs, the actual card Des Frog at level 5, which lets you go into some really stupid shit. So you can make your opponent special summon monsters from their deck, and then you can pop them with the Volcasaurus and then attack over, and so on. So it gives you 3 monsters for you to pop, so really cool. So that's pretty much you up to speed if you haven't ever seen Masik play. Very interesting. I think if you actually do get a chance, definitely go onto Dueling Network and get to see him play, because really fun deck to watch. Right, so he goes Swap Frog and does some more sending. We have 108 watchers at the moment. I think the last match I was watching with Masik had about 250, and he does regularly get about 250. So you know, definitely do go and join the ranks and watch Masik wreck people. Although I have not seen him play Geargias up to this point, so it'd be quite interesting because he just beat he beat Trapchick's Hand Artifacts, and after that he played against something else that was quite meta. I can't remember, but he wrecked them up pretty bad, so it was good. Right, so yeah, so he flips, gets the Geargia, obviously made a misclick there. He goes and exceeds into more advantage, so yeah, Gigant X, I suppose. He's obviously doing this because he wants to bait out back row stuff. I don't know what he's going to do. I would expect there to be like a needle ceiling or something like that, but I don't know what he's going to do. So maybe he's waiting for more stuff to come onto the opponent's field before he goes and needle ceilings. So at this point, I'm fearing for Mystique because this is one of those situations where the deck is bad. Volcasaurus is pretty good against stuff like Fire Hand and stuff because it does let you burn, and I think it allows him to miss timing, although I cannot say for sure. I think that's one reason why he's been playing it, because the Fire and Ice hands are very, very annoying. And I want to follow that up with the comments that I got from my previous video talking about the Trapchicks hand versus Geargia match. I'd really like to thank you guys who commented saying that it was a really good, well thought out video. I did spend a good day doing it and trying to get it to be polished, you know. But overall, I'm very, very happy with it. I'm glad that you guys liked it, and I know there's some people said to do some more of them, but they're very, very intensive. It's a good 4 or 5 hours of editing and thinking, and yeah, it's hard, so I can't do too many of them too often, but I just had the urge to do it this one time. So that's why I'm chilling out and doing a Dueling Network video, because it's a little bit less stressful, and it still allows me to talk to you guys, because I don't want to do a big kind of commending video saying, oh, thank you very much for subscribing, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to do that in a normal video, because I want to keep them concise, you know, reduce editing times, reduce rendering times and so on. So I like to have it all inside of a Dueling Network video instead. So I hope you guys forgive me in case you're not into these kind of videos. You know, that's just, you know, these won't appear very often, but I do like to do one now and again, especially when I see a deck like Frogs come onto the, you know, played by someone who's got 1,829 rating on DN. You know, you got to give the guy a lot of credit for getting to that rating in a month and a month and a half. And he seems to be maintaining it with a pretty solid experience rating, and using a deck like this, it must be very successful. So I don't know if Frogs have any method of making some kind of nuke. There's no way to nuke with Exciton. There's no way to nuke with anything else. So he has to basically trap stun and then needle sailing or something like. I don't know what he can't do that. That'd be stupid. But some kind of play, maybe using So Cute Boss to kill Gigan, kill some stuff, and then completely remove all of the guy's trapped monster card zones, and then just blocking the path with 2 of them so that he can't attack. So by that point, So Cute Boss can just go and attack, prod, and win the game from there. Although there will be stuff like Trap Hole Nightmare, there will be some other stuff, so I'm thinking about what he's doing. You know, the Geargia player has 5 back row, 6 cards in hand, 4 monsters, and the other guy has not so many. Mystique has not so many cards, so he's using MST to hit a back row. I think it was this one up here. So Inferno Reckless Summon goes and gets him 2 Desfrog, and this is where 3 of them, brilliant. So he can now special summon a monster from the deck. I think it will most likely be an Accelerator, possibly. Okay, so he doesn't. Okay, yeah, of course he does. I mean, I think Inferno forces you to have to special summon something. So, Geargia gets some monster. I guess he gets a draw off Maxi, and Desfrog allows him to do some pretty cool stuff. Apart from Volcasaurus, in this particular instances, he can also go into Zenmayo, and Zenmayo is a little bit of a bitch. In this particular case, you can pop this back, you can pop this face down, pop this, or you can just pop 2 back rows after you trap stunned, and then you can literally go off. This is only the beginning of what the deck can do. There's a lot of plays that the deck can do. You also use stuff like Herald of Pure Light to add a Desfrog back to your hand and then shuffle it back into the deck so you can carry on playing. You can also use other cards, I can't quite remember, but basically he's pushing through now with monsters. Right, so he's worried about something like Trap Hole Nightmare, which would kill him outright. he is worried about that. So I think he's trying to remove as much stuff off the field as possible before he does anything. So he can go now, main phase 2, he can go and overlay, bait out a back row, and hopefully won't have to worry about it, because regardless of what he does, he will need to bait out Trap Hole Nightmares and Black Horn of Heaven as much as possible. So it'll be interesting to see what he does in this case. Right, so it's clearly that he's thinking at the moment, seeing as it was possible for him to push through. Very, very interesting. I can see there's actually a mod watching this match, which is quite good. I don't want to... You guys are okay? I would think so. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, whatever. So, yeah. It'd be interesting to see what he does. He has to bait out back row, that's pretty much it. I mean, most of the time, regardless of what he summons, right, level 5, rank 5, he has quite a few options here. Obviously, I think there's a rank 5 that you can destroy a monster and make Gigantex miss timing, but I do not know for sure, so I can't say. So he sets one card and ends his turn, so he doesn't do anything else, and that kind of leaves him prone to getting needle ceilinged, which is kind of a bad idea, but I suppose if he has to do it, he has to do it. He's obviously setting back row because he doesn't want to do anything before he trap stuns, but that means he does get wiretapped, or 7 towards the bandit, or I don't know, or whatever else he could have face down, but generally wiretap is the way forward. So he maxes. This is game 1, so if the match is quick, which it isn't, you can tell it's quite grindy at the moment, I would probably keep this to just one game, and if you guys want to see me watching Maxeek play again, I would happily get another duel, and comment over that one, because I do thoroughly enjoy his duels. Geargia comes onto the field using the effect of Mark II, and I believe Geargia's going to get set, which is pointless, doesn't really matter much to the Des player, because he's going to be Zen Mayoing next turn, provided that his trap stun goes through. Right, so what he's doing now is he said, okay, right, so when he chains Max C on the effect of Mark II, he special summons another Mark II using the effect to Call the Haunted, so he doesn't get another draw. So Max C is now finally resolved, and Maxeek gets a draw. So Alucard comes on. I think it's Alucard, and possibly Alucard, most likely. There's no other rank 3 that you'd rather get at the moment. I suppose something like Soul of Silver Mountain, but there's no real need for that. So Alucard is most likely going to come onto the field here and bait out back row, or just pop back row, because Alucard is really good at doing that. But he might end up destroying the face down, which I can't remember what it is. I don't think we got to see it. I think he said it, because I don't see there being any Book of Moons or anything like that. I can't remember. So Shadow Chaos 160 is deciding on what to do. Most likely going to be Alucard, as I said already. I don't see any other thing he would want to do. I mean, he has like how many cards in hand? Like 8. And he's going to end up having to discard in the end phase, unless he clears some cards out the way. But Alucard is most likely going to hit a back row because of stuff like Needle Sealing being able to hit the front row. So let's see what happens. So how far are we through? So 13 minutes and 41. I would like it for this video to hit 20 minutes at the max. I don't really want to go to a half an hour game. If that's the case, I might have to edit bits out. But I think that's understandable. So Alucard comes in defense mode and goes after a back row, and he breakthrough skills, which isn't really that relevant. It just kind of negates it. But okay, sure. I love breakthrough skills. So good this format. Such a good card against like artifacts and stuff. Really love it. So Gigantex attacks Desfrog, and that's cool. That's cool. So he's probably gonna end up setting a card. And we'll have to discard in the end phase, which is not really a big detriment, because I'm sure that he has a lot of traps in his hand that he doesn't want to bother with, because there are some traps that don't do anything against frogs. So yeah, Stuff like negation, Fiendish Chain, stuff like that. If timed properly, it will always affect your opponent regardless. But against frogs, because they're so combo based, if you Fiendish Chain something, a lot of the time he's like, okay, great, that's fine. I just carry on. So you can easily fool your opponent into believing that they're Fiendish Chain or Breakthrough Skilling the right kind of card, but then it ends up not being the right card. So yeah. Yeah, also I noticed how with frogs you cannot run Upstart Goblin, which would really help the consistency of this deck. You can't run it because you really need to, in those instances, because you can't really hope to take out 11,000 life points in one go, because you need to keep it as low as possible because of stuff like Volcasaurus, which is really, really good. So, sure, Volcasaurus coming on, and compulsory. And he gets promptly compulsory, but of course Masik knows this because he's been calculating how to deal with the back row as much as possible. So compulsory gets rid of it, which I don't understand why, because Volcasaurus hitting one of these cards is not really a big deal. I don't see why that would be worth compulsorying. You know, oh, you take a bit of damage, I mean, does it really matter? Not at this point. So Duke Frog comes on, and it's going to be overlaid for a Herald of Pure Light, and this is one card that he uses to get Desfrogs back onto the field. He adds Desfrog to his hand or something similar. I think he's going to add Desfrog. Okay, X Maxi, and he shuffles back a card back into his deck, and that's good because generally there's a lot of cards that you don't want in your hand, which you can sort of. It is basically hand construction. Pure Light is really good. I mean, it's just like it's good in some sense because you can use one per turn, and it is kind of a neg if you use it in a more general sense. But with frogs, it's like the only deck that can use it and not neg. So Swap Frog being an inherent summon, it allows you to get past Maxi, which was evidenced by the last game that I watched. Someone did try to Maxi on Swap Frog's effect, and it was like, no, you can't. It's not an effect summon. It's an inherent summon. So it's like, oh, okay. So you can Black Horn of Heaven it, which is kind of cool. So Ronin Tonin comes back onto the field as a big wall, nice big wall, and he banishes Breakthrough Skill to target Ghost Trick Alucard. He activates Inferno Reckless Summon, and special summons more Ronin Todins, which is cool. Because he only has Xyz monsters, obviously he can't special summon anything, but Desfrog comes straight back. So he's using this compulsory moment to bait out as much stuff as possible. Obviously the other guy has 6 cards in hand, so there's going to be a lot of stuff in that back row that's going to be hating on this summon. So he summons Volcasaurus, and he's literally saying, bait out your back row. I need you to bait out, I need you to do as much as you can to kill it. So now Desfrog is sitting there on its own. He needs to get another Reckless Summon, or he needs to find another way to bait through. And hopefully he has something else. And if he ends up losing because he just ends up losing through the fact that there's too much back row and he can't get through it, then I would happily move on to game 2, and we can just carry on the discussion now. Right, so he tribute summons Sea Lancer, which I have not seen him use up to this point, so it'll be quite interesting to see him use it. Sea Lancer, obviously, if you don't know what the card does, allows you to equip a whole bunch of stuff back to onto your field. So obviously he's got 2 free spaces, so he can equip stuff. So generally you go and get Duke Frog, because when Duke Frog's sent to the graveyard, you can add a frog to your hand. So Sea Lancer protects itself from dying, and it's pretty good. So at this particular moment, Sea Lancer will go up to 2/3, which means it can crash with a Gigantex and have a kind of minor little play. But I think you'll most likely go into Alucard, because Gigantex doesn't really do anything now that it's got no materials. It just kind of sits there, gets you a free monster, and it's like, yeah, but you've got so many cards, like what's the point? So he'll most likely use the effects, the fact that Sea Lancer is now invincible, he will use it to kill Alucard, but he can also go into another rank 5, which I think he's running out of rank 5s in his deck by this point. So he goes and plows through, So he attacks Alucard with Death Frog, and it goes through. So Sea Lancer goes into Gargant X. He destroys a Duke Frog. Duke Frog allows him to go and search. Add a deck or graveyard. Cool. So you can add a Des Frog from your graveyard to your hand, which is really cool. So I thought Duke Frog was only from the deck to the hand. You learn something new every day. And speaking of learning rulings, I am trying to become a judge at this point. I would love to become a judge. I did a judge program about a couple of months ago, and I got the standard email from the head of judging, and so I have a lot of places where I can go and judge. And if I do end up judging, and I do, my Yu-Gi-Oh adventure in life will go towards judging rather than playing as much. I would love to go and judge in events and stuff like that, and I get to meet people. It'd be really, really cool. So yeah, that'd be really fun. I would really look forward to doing that. I have to always brush up on my rulings. Stuff like Swap Frog, for example, if this deck ever hits off, because it is pretty good. I have not seen this guy lose a game yet, which is really cool. So Zenmayo got Breakthrough skilled as I was talking. I didn't really get it, but so he maxes prematurely in case of any accelerators. Basically, he's saying if you push through today, I'm going to get some draws from it. 17 cards left in this deck, so it's not really the kind of number that you can really try and deck out. He has got 3 back rows, so he's kind of waiting for the right moment to push through. So he's been playing the grind game very well against the deck which grinds very well. So he's been sort of reading back row and understanding that what he can do to bait out as much as possible, while allowing him to maintain board presence to the point where he can still carry on pushing every turn. Because this Gear guy, look at how much back he's going to have. So many trap cards in his hand right now. There's going to be a lot of cards that he searched, like accelerators, like Mark 2s, and so on. So at this point, because the amount of cards he's got in his hand, he can't exit on. So a board wipe, which is something that he would love to do right now, and then establish board presence afterwards, he can't do that with exit on. So he's going to have to find another way to push through. So it'll most likely be something like Arc. Because Needle Sealing at this point would be really good, because Sea Lancer protects itself and lets you kill this without giving it a way to, So he attaches to and equips Zenmayo, but he Breakthrough skills, which is really nice. So Breakthrough skill, once again, super broken. So Shark is like, oh crap, so he's just lost it. So White Tap comes in and shuffles the Breakthrough skill back into the deck. That was not really expected, but Zenmayo ends up going onto the opponent's field and being equipped by Arc. Of course, Sea Lancer can still get over it, so it depends on what back row he has. We're going to have to see. But fortunately with Duke Frog, he can sort of recover through doing stuff. So the stuff that he has in his hand, he has a Des Frog, he has Tadpoles in his graveyard. He has a way to carry on playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So it'll be quite interesting to see what happens. So how far are we through in this? So 23 minutes. So I wasn't expecting to go this long, I have to say. But so far, the pace of the game has been pretty decent. I imagine if this was a real life game, it would have dragged on to about the same length of time. Because, this is about the same amount of thinking as you expect on a real duel. So, because it's just annoying, because some matches that some people play, they go on for like 2.5 hours, and it's not really realistic. It's like, oh, good game, good game. It's like, it wasn't really, because it shouldn't have taken an hour to do a duel. Because that means you still have games 2 and 3, so you went into time on game 1. It's like, how is that good practice of anything? You can't say that was a good game. That makes no sense. So, right, so he sets a card as obviously going to be something like Accelerator or a Armor. There's no other reason to set at this moment. I don't know why he's protecting himself with a monster. He seems to be pretty solid with an Arc. Although he's obviously worried about Masik having 4 cards in hand and 2 back row, and he has basically really good setup on the field. So, not field, in the graveyard. So he has a lot of plays that he can do. So Swap Frog activates. Oop, so activates and sends Tadpole to the graveyard. So at this moment, he can use Swap Frog's effect to return itself to the hand, and then you can normal summon Desfrog, which allows you to go and get another one, but you can't at the moment because the other two are in the graveyard. So I'm not sure what he's doing to deal with this matter. I'm not really too sure. Very interesting. I don't know what he can do. Unless he's got a way to Pure Light again. He must be running 3 Pure Light in his extra deck, but that in itself basically says that every game that he plays drags out for at least a good 40 minutes. So okay, so he goes running Toadin and gets Swap Frog. Swap Frog and Toadin gonna go together and make I can't imagine what he's gonna make. It might be Succubus, but I'm not too sure. There are other things like Geargia. So he attacks with Swap Frog, and so that's that. So Sea Lancer, being a 2300, attacks into Geargia Arsenal. I don't know why. I guess I have no idea. I mean, you know. But one thing that I have to say is that at this particular moment, we are late game. Like, we are very late game. This is like where the winner will be decided depending on who wins the board. Who takes control of the front row will win this game. Basically, Geargias at this point, as I mentioned in my previous video about Geargias, when you go late game, if you're grinding out against Geargia and you're winning, or you're doing a decent job putting up a fight, a lot of the time you can win against Geargias because you bait out a hell of a lot of back row, and you bait out all the monsters, because once they're in the graveyard they can't really do much else. I mean, they have Dagusto Emerald, but a lot of the time Geargia Arsenal becomes quite dead. The only thing you can get is your Geargianos or your armors, but then your armors, like, well, you can search another arsenal. It's like, well, how is that good? So while you're doing that, your opponent's still got a lot of things to do. So Swap Frog, you know, little plays like Geargia, stuff like that. So Mark II goes and gets I believe another one, I would assume. So at this point he has access to rank 3s, unless he goes and gets another Geargia armor and just sets it. I don't know why he would do that, because there's nothing that he can get from his deck at this point. He's pretty much searched everything. So Mark II comes back. And he goes and makes another Alucard. I would maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Geargia's run 2 Alucards in the deck anyway. So if he makes another one, then that's pretty good call. But otherwise, you might have to go into Zen mains. I think the reason why most people don't play a second Alucard is because you just don't use it enough. I mean, it's possible, but generally, you know, it's only very late game or very grindy games like this where you might actually need to use a second Alucard. Other than that, there's no real reason for it. And plus, the card is reaching like $20–25 for the Ultra. So he makes Acid Golem. So it's clearly saying, I don't have any more Alucards, so your back row is fine. Sea Lancer allows it. Wait, Sea Lancer. Yeah, Sea Lancer is at 2/7, so he will lose the Duke Frog, and Duke Frog will allow him to add a card to his hand. So it will go down to 17, and then Arc will kill it, and then he'll take a bit more damage. But fortunately, because he will go back up to a nice amount of cards, and he has loads of good back row, I'm sure that he's got a bit of protection for now. So halfway through, there's 28 minutes. So Arc attacks Sea Lancer, and that's like, you know, that's fine. So he goes and added a card back to his hand. I think it was Desfrog, I'm not too sure. At this point he's very low on cards, so generally with a deck like Frogs you need at least a couple of decent cards. He uses Swap Frog, and whether or not it goes through, although I'm surprised that I haven't seen one solo warning in this whole game, so, you know, because that would completely kill this play and he would be like, oh crap. So So at this moment, there are 204 watches. It's a bit less than normal, I'm supposing, because a lot of people don't really like Gears anymore. They're just getting real sick of its shit. So that's understandable. So I'm getting real tired of your shit. I do. I get sick of Gears. I mean, like they've been around for a hell of a long time, and I'm just a bit like, you know what, whatever, dude. Just fine. You know, if you're gonna do that to me, man, that's fine. You know, so fine. Just flip flop, flippity flop, Geargia, like ah. But the deck is so linear and boring. But if he can, Acid Golem is a bit of a risky play, as everyone knows. The fact that he has Geargia and Ronin Toadin, which is recursive, allows him to get to the point where Acid Golem's like, oh crap, it's I'm taking damage. So he can't really special summon while he's do this, and he can't attack while it has no materials. So it is a very risky play to do. But there was nothing else that he could do. But this might end up costing him the game. Right, so there's a bit of debate in here about what's going to happen. Masik is in a position where he has a really good back row now, and he's going to use it to push. He needs to decide whether or not making Acid Golem burn itself to death, or Zen Arc. I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, I'm not sure if the Gear player has any way to get rid of Acid Golem, because there would be no monsters in his deck that he can just tribute summon, you know? So at this point, Acid Golem is a bit of a risky play. It might end up costing him the game. So Masig was probably quite glad when he saw that he summoned Acid Golem. So he took 2000 damage instead of detaching. So at this point, he's willing to take damage in exchange for free attacks. So that's cool, you know, if you're going to do that, that's fine. So he's obviously got monsters in his hand, like Geargia Arsenal. You know what, if you're going to, that's cool. So at this point, he's very tempted to try and bait out as much stuff as possible. Like, I think Ronin Toadin will, I mean, if you can kill Arc, right, then at this point, Acid Golem is going to do nothing. And there's not really much he can do. So, it'll be very interesting to see what he does. So he sets another card. I'm sure it's going to be something like Tadpole or something like that, because if he sets Tadpole, then he can reduce the amount of damage he takes. So during his standby phase, he probably will take another 2000 because he wants to carry on. Oh, okay, so he detaches. So at this point, Acid Golem can't attack. He can't special summon any monsters, and he's going to have to resort to summoning other cards. But because of the fact that all of his back row is reactive, you know, it's going to be stuff like Gears, which is dead. It's going to be like 2 Gears set or something like that. There might be some other stuff as well. Who knows? So Accelerator comes down, and obviously he's expecting the back row, the face down, to be something that is less than 2000. So he MSTs. He hits Trap Pill Nightmare, which I assumed was set because he hadn't used it, so it's been sitting there for a while. So he chains Needle Sealing and ends up killing everything. So instead of letting Acid Golem push through, he kills Swap Frog, gets killed instead. So at this point, it was either you let Acid Golem burn itself to death, or you push through. You take initiative and you do something, which will end up probably be more payoff better, because at this point, Arc is now alone. It has no Xyz materials. There was no monsters joining him. He already summoned an Accelerator earlier on in the turn. So at this point, this is the perfect moment where he can go Trap Stun, push, like Trap Stun, do it. So he can, if he gets a Trap Stun now, he should be able to push through and win. So if he flips up the Trap Stun, chances are he's got Volcasaurus into Gaia Charger for game, because that would be 4700, and then you special summon a Swap Frog or something like that, and then you've already won. So he'd follow dualities, so he doesn't have the outs, so he is most likely going to go and get Trap Stun. Rightio, so is he going to pick Trap Stun? Possibly, I don't know. He's only got 7 cards left in his deck, but obviously he will have 9 once he shuffles 2 back in. So Trap Stun goes and joins his hand, and Maxi and Mother Grizzly go back into the deck. So at this point, we are 35 minutes in, and I was hoping this would not take so long, but clearly this is a very, very grindy game, and he's hoping now that he doesn't have to worry about I don't know what he can do. This is bad because he torrentials, and this is where it might be clutch. Wiretap negates it, and that sucks, but you know, at least he has another turn to live. So is he going to go and attack? This is really close. Really close, because obviously you're thinking, oh, he's got 2 monsters. He's most likely just going to create something that stops anything from happening. But at this moment, Masik does have Trap Stun, so he's going to go and summon maybe a second Arc to protect it from getting killed. It's possible, but So Cute Boss and Volcasaurus will be sitting there, allowing him to continue playing Yu-Gi-Oh! So it'll be very interesting to see what he does. So 2 wiretaps have now gone. So I don't know if he's playing a 3rd wiretap, but he wiretapped clearly because he knew that if the torrential were to go through instead of the trap stun, then it would have been game over. So clearly, basically what it's saying, this wiretap, it's saying that my back row, the Geargia's back row, is not good enough to handle the OTK that you're about to do. Even if you wiretap that trap stun, it's not good enough. So he's obviously wiretapping the torrential to make sure he gets a little push of damage. So he summons Emerald, which is okay, but he ends up warning it, which was a bit of a costly affair, but okay, if you're going to do that, that's cool. So he sets a back row and ends a turn. So Trap Stun, ideally is going to get activated. I don't know. I wouldn't just go do something and then wait for a response and then Trap Stun. I would say Trap Stun right this minute and carry on. So now that Trap Stun has happened, Masik has like basically I'm gonna fuck you up now. So Swap Frog gets banished and Ronin Toadin comes onto the field. So Maxi, Ronin Toadin is, you can special summons. Oh, it hasn't been problem solved card text yet. So once it was errated, I believe that it is an effect to special summon it from the grave. It's not like Machine of Fortress, you know, banish summon. So he goes and summons a second Ronin Toadin, and I believe that he can special summon enough monsters to draw the guy out. So he can he can actually, if he does it properly, he should be able to make the guy draw 11 times. So it would be quite interesting to see if he can do that. That'll be one win condition, but obviously there's the inevitable win condition of Volcasaurus for game. So Masik's probably taken the fact that he has 11 cards in his deck into consideration. So he goes and shuffles a card back in, and he tributes Herald to summon Desfrog. And he activates effects, considering that he has a Tadpole, but he has one Desfrog. He special summons the Desfrog, and Desfrog is going to go and summon Gaia Charger, a Volcasaurus, sorry, and then he's going to go and pop the Arc, and the guy is going to take some nice damage there. Man, this is why I could never build a deck like this, because I just think it's too much thought processing into it. It's really skillful. I really think it's a skillful deck, but he goes and attacks with Gaia Charger, and he sets three cards, and says go. Wow. Okay, so what at this point? What's happening now? I was surprised he didn't have any outs. He didn't have anything he could do. Not even Ronin Toadin. There was nothing. I don't know why he didn't just. I'm not sure. Maybe he's run out of. He has used 7 Exceeds monsters this game, so I'm not sure whether or not he's run out of his engines. Run out basically. But the Geargia player is going to be very low on resources as well. There might be like a Call the Haunted set. There might be something like a Geargia Arsenal, but there's nothing that the Geargian player can do at this point because the compulsory is gone and Geargias do not play Deep Prison or Mirror Force. So at this point, the Geargia player is going to, if he sets armor, Masik might actually have a second trap stun and win. That would really suck for the Geargia player, but basically Geargias, he can't set armor, he can't set accelerator, he can't set anything, he has to do something, and everything that he can do is in his graveyard, so he needs a Call the Haunted or some kind of way to get rid of one of his back row, and then he can go do something. But the reason why Masik did this damage without needing to worry about being game or not was because Soul Charge is dead now. He knows that the back row, all the back row were dead because of Trap Stun, and they're all reactive cards. So at this point, Guide Charger is completely fine to attack. It's all going to be back row that is dead. So, you know, because you can MST the Masik's back row, but there is no need to because there's no point. Everything that he hits is going to be irrelevant shit. So that's pretty much it. So Guide Charger is literally winning him the game at this point, even though the guy is ahead on a lot of cards, but there is nothing that the guy has that he can really think of doing. So he summons Giano, Mark 1, and summons Accelerator. He activates Torrential, and does Masik have a solution for this? I do not know. This could be game threatening. He's thinking right now this could be really big. So there's 243 players watching this crucial moment. This could be the final turn, or it could be the penultimate turn. Trap Stun comes down. If there's a third wiretap, that's really dumb. Trap Stun allows him to carry on. So he drew. He dualitied into the Trap Stun, and then the next turn he drew into the other Trap Stun. I think he's running 3 Trap Stun anyway, so so he ends his turn, and at this point the only thing he can do now is attack. So Needle Ceiling was dead, so at this point Guide Charger is going to attack, and does he get game? This is the question here. I mean, it's funny because he literally not OTK'd, but he literally won without having to bring his opponent down to 0. Because there was nothing he could do, and that's it. He won. So that's it. Masik won. That was amazing. It was so crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. They're going into the side. I don't really want to make this an hour-and-a-half video. So I hope you guys really enjoyed watching. Comment down below your opinions of Masik's deck if you really liked it. Very, very, very interesting. That was a really grindy game. I guess that's what Yu-Gi-Oh is all about, but at the same time, it's very, very grindy. Bit more grindy than I'm used to. So, anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, the Thetcglover is out.